Hello and happy Friday. Welcome to the channel. I was trying to do a live stream, but that's not going to work. So this is take two. If you already watched the live stream, I'm going to delete the pointer. So questions for you. Otherwise, this is probably your first view through it. So I don't know what episode this is, 3 or 4. And I'm going to give you a rarely talked about tip. Um, Sorry, these videos are not incredibly edited or polished, but I do want to share um, some of my journey and continue to be consistent with these posts. Right now, it's been crazy busy because we've bought a new warehouse and a trucking and warehouse company. So, learning how that looks to own a trucking and warehouse company, helping the guy we hired to manage it, help that get going, get everything going like payroll and insurance, the things that you need to run a company. Um, but I'm on my commute down there right now. I thought I would share a rarely talked about tip when it comes to investing. And it's a very counterintuitive tip that um, we don't like to talk about because most of us, when it comes to investing, we really are thinking about making money. How does our money make money? How does our money make money? And we're talking about how to become rich. And uh, it's very materialistic driven. Um, so there's a counter to that, though. And how do we keep our grip on reality when we're focused like this? Uh, so the tip is a tithe, and a tithe is what is a tithe? First off, that's a good question. A tithe is giving 10% of your earnings to a charitable organization or to something. Traditionally, you see this in the Jewish Torah that giving a tithe to the temple, uh, giving a tithe to God and the work of God. You see that in Christianity. As a Christian, I believe giving a tithe to your church, supporting your church locally so that the gospel can be spread is critical and is act of obedience. But the principle of a tithe is really prescribed by a lot of religions. And not just that, the principle or some of the good things that come from a tithe, even if it's not religious in nature, um, are beneficial. And what are those benefits? So when we tithe, when we give freely some of our money, we we loosen our grip on money, and it creates in us to be a more generous person. Dave Ramsey, in his financial peace course that long time ago, said that he had a pastor come up after he taught one of these seminars and said he'd been a pastor for, I don't know, 40 years or something. And in those 40 years, he never once had a married couple in his church get divorced that was tithing. And it's not this like magical formula. Oh, if you tithe, you won't get divorced. Well, what it is those that tithe become more generous, more selfless, less selfish, and a less selfish person is easier to stay married to, right? But that's not just true with you're in a married situation, but you think of as an entrepreneur, you're constantly putting your employees or your tenants before yourself. You get paid last at the end of the day, right? If there's a leaky pipe, you got to fix it for your tenants. If payroll has to be made, you got to pay your people if they did the work. Even if somebody doesn't pay you, if one of your customers doesn't pay the organization, you still got to pay your people. So as an entrepreneur, it's critically important as you start to lead people and work with people that you are generous and selfless, because the more selfish you are, it's going to be obvious to those around you, and you're just not going to have an organization that'll work. So tithing is one of those things that um, my parents taught me from a very young age, and it's just part of kind of the culture of growing up in a good household. And but that is something that has paid dividends in investing. And, you know, if you're like most Americans out there, you're going to say, well, I can't give up 10% of my income because if I did that, we wouldn't be able to pay our bills. And I get that. Um, but you got to start somewhere. And I think a tithe is a good mark to shoot for. You know, You'd be amazed if you make it a priority, if you have a budget, you can I'm guessing you can eliminate 2 to 5% month 1 and give that away and not even realize that anything happened. And then, after a couple months, give another percent or 2. Work your way up to that 10% over the course of a couple years. And number 1, you're gonna be giving to something you believe in. If you're a Christian, you're gonna be cashing in something that can be destroyed by moth and rust and exchanging it for something that's eternal that will never lose its value. Uh, so I would just encourage you. It seems counterintuitive, but I believe a tithe will be a huge blessing to you and your entrepreneurship and your investing career. So that's the tip for the week. Uh, I am driving. I don't know how this audio is going to be or anything, but we're not going to edit it. We're just going to load it. And you can tune in next week. If you have any questions about this or think I'm totally crazy, go ahead and put that in the comments. And we'll see you next week. Thank you. Take care.